to the DJ Force X podcast, everyone. 10 years ago, I had the absolute pleasure of welcoming Bret, aka Blue Stahli, to the show to talk about what I thought was a sort of bold and very genre-defying release called The Devil. We're here a decade later, and he's back with The Devil, the Decade Edition, um, reimagined, expanded, and sonically sharpened version of that iconic album, with new tracks, fresh mixes, and a visual aesthetic that is devilishly detailed as ever. I keep doing this. I pick words that I can't say. Um, this release isn't just a reissue. It's a resurrection. Bret, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. When you say that it's been 10 years, even though I recognize that it has been, that's still crazy to hear. And yeah, how the hell has that much time passed?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've like this album has been kind of a constant for me. So it's been
Hmm.
on and it's always like, oh, it's there and it sounds new, it sounds fresh every time. Which is I'm gonna absolutely fanboy over this. So
I'm very, very thrilled that you like it, and I'm humbled by anyone that actually digs this stuff. I kind of go through my life thinking like, yeah, maybe like two people listen to this. So it means a lot to know that you dig it and that it holds up for you. So thank you very much.
absolutely my pleasure. I mean, it's right behind me. Sorry, I'm gonna get the camera right. It's right behind me right there. It arrived literally today. I pre-ordered the pack, the Devil Decade Edition, with some other bits, which we'll go through in a bit. But kind of what I want to do first is catch up a little bit. I mean, it's 10 years.
Mhm.
You've released music between then and now, and I'd like to kind of have a chat about that because like a couple of those, or actually three of those releases, in fact, were all one sort of collection. You did the Deadchannel Trilogy, um, which it was the soundtrack to kind of lockdown for me. That trilogy of albums. Take that how you want, because it's kind of a very roller coaster ride, going through that. And it's like just that blend of electronica and rock and yeah, they're just three. I mean, I implore anyone to go listen to all these albums right now. They can stop this interview and go, if they're listening to it on Spotify or whatever, they can go and listen to it. They can go find it, and judge for themselves. But yeah, let's talk about that. So, I mean, the Channel trilogy was consisted of Quartz, Copper, and Obsidian. Those were the three titles of the album. Um, and there's some absolute killer tracks on each of those albums. I mean, I've highlighted a couple here, but I just wanted to sort of get a sort of rough, where those sort of came from because those were your sort of first, I guess, independent releases
Yes. Yeah.
away from, because obviously you were on Fixed before with Anti-Sleeps and the first self-titled, sorry, and The Devil,
Mhm.
a few others, but these were your kind of foray into sort of fully independent release. So how did they come about first and foremost?
So with those, uh, the unfortunately the sad part of the story is like what kind of sparked their existence was just prior to that. I lost my mother, and I had been her caretaker while she was battling glioblastoma, and after doing all the like end of life things and stuff like that, after she passed, uh, there's just this hollowness and like, am I ever gonna make music again? Like, well, this is the only thing I know how to do, and it's the only way I can, get food and pay for groceries, pay for rent, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my like I had a few demos that were kicking around, but also uh, didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing. And then right around like I was one of the people who got like OG COVID, and it hit me really hard because I have asthma, so I already have a respiratory
Yeah.
issue, and then that just like smacked me down, and I had like 12 days of not even being able to like get out of bed, and and it wound up being very good in that it forced me to take a break because I was working on a bunch of stuff for like film and TV and things like that, but never really working on things for myself. So I had kind of like burned myself out creatively, doing a bunch of like film and TV stuff, and
Yeah.
some things landed, some things didn't. And I'm like, I don't even know how to write a song for myself anymore. But then being laid out in bed thinking like, I hope I live through this. That'd be great.
Yeah. Well,
Every now and again, yeah.
yeah.
Every now and again, little ideas would start to trickle through. So I'd start jotting things down in my notes, or like, very scratchily voiced, like humming things into my phone,
Yeah.
and going like, okay, if I make it through this, then I'm going to do a song that goes like this, or like even so far as to like do a song. It's like, well, here's a love song for my wife on this one. And then like as I was writing things, thinking, this would be a good way to deal with to sort of deal with sort of the lingering things of like losing my mom and stuff like that. So each album is sort of themed as like like Quartz is meant to be like, this is the sort of thing that would be playing in my car in 1996 after I'm driving home from Blockbuster after renting Split Second for the 30th time. You
Well,
know,
uh,
yeah. So there's that one, and that sort of represents like, oh, here's this aspect of life, and where I grew up, and uh Copper is like the long desert road trip, because I would go back and forth between Phoenix and Los Angeles.
yeah.
And so there'd be this drive back and forth through the desert. And then Obsidian is sort of like the fusing of those two sounds, because like Quartz has all these very electronic rock and industrial elements, and Copper is there's no guitars on it, and I sort of sampled myself improving things on my mom's old piano,
Yeah.
using those samples and chopping them up and turning them into synths and stuff like that, and doing there's like a vocal here or there, but it's mostly just an instrumental thing that's kind of chill. And Obsidian is sort of like the merging of those two sounds
Yeah.
together, and it's there's a couple there are a couple fun songs on there where it's like, okay, I can't bum everyone else out for three whole albums, so here's a fun song here and there. But what's been cool with it is every now and again I'll get a message from someone saying, hey man, like I lost my dad last year, and this album helped, like these records helped get me through. Or even just like you say, like that was sort of like the soundtrack to lockdown. That wound up being just a very positive thing to, it's like, well, not that I would go anywhere anyway, because even with everything open, I'm like, well, I don't want to go anywhere. My studio's in the house. But it was fun to like let's do music videos ourselves. Let's do, with aside from one music video for Obsidian, like we just did all the music videos ourselves, and we're like, let's just have fun doing this ourselves. And it was, yeah, it was a good way to use the time.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I mean, I wasn't au fait with the whole story behind that, so I totally feel you when it comes to taking care of people end of life. So I think, my mother-in-law sadly passed a few years ago, and
I'm sorry, man.
we did like at home hospice care for
Mhm.
between us and the whole family. So we all kind of were there. But obviously it was heavy on my wife and her sister and her husband.
Yeah.
And yeah, going through that, you can't, it's there's only yeah, it's I don't wish that on anyone. Like obviously
No.
watching your loved ones kind of fade essentially in
Yes.
front of you due to, in my case it was cancer. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was, I wouldn't, I wish on anyone, but you're, like I say, like, music helps me through things, like when it comes to things like that, where be it, something when I was younger, it was like a breakup or something. But like, music gets me through life. It's one of those things. Your music has been a constant soundtrack during that time. But yeah, those three albums are still, like I say, on they're in like random songs sort of pop up in rotation on my various playlists that I have kind of concocted over time, um,
Right.
without relying on any algorithms. I kind of just add tracks to my own thing and just keep going until, until I start another one. Um,
That's great.
because it marks certain parts of my life, sort of thing. So sort of some tracks carry over, some sort of stay where they are. But your music's kind of there. I mean, I've written a couple down that have kind of stuck with me. Summoning the End, Eat the
Mm.
Light as well. What are the other ones? Catastrophe was
Oh, yeah.
Obsidian. Death Will Have to Run as well. Really like that one. But yeah, I've listed a whole bunch there, but I could go on forever with that. Um,
I'm just glad that you resonate with them and that they could do something productive for you. That truly means the world to know. And I'm glad that they could do something positive out there and specifically that it could help you with that. So thank you very much, man. I'm genuinely touched that you dig this stuff.
I was going to say, like, thank you to your brain, I guess, is the and the fingers for playing the things. But no, one thing I really did actually, one thing I've noted here that I love the bass sound on Quartz.
Mm.
I don't know what
Oh,
the actual, because I'm a bassist, like generally, like if I had
yeah.
an instrument with mine was bass. DJ primarily, but bass was my like weapon, if you will. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, it's got that kind of like, I don't know, that real growl to it. Kind of harks back to kind of some of the sort of hardcore music I used to listen to, like hardcore punk type stuff from like East Coast sort of area. It had that sort of sound, new metal sound almost, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Sort of people can resonate more with that rather than, I don't think the New York hardcore scene has recovered um at all in that time. There's still a few bands around, but it's not hitting as hard as it used to. I'll probably be hung for that, but here we go for saying that, because I've had a few of them on the show. But yeah, no, I've got that noted in bolded as well. So but yeah, no, those three albums were fantastic. And yeah, I'm glad that, it got you through, like you got through to COVID. Obviously, you got COVID
Yeah.
during that time, but obviously having a respiratory issue myself, getting COVID
Mm.
is no fun at all.
No
Uh,
fun.
I've got one of those sleep apnea things, severe obstructive, so I have to have a mask on anyway when I
Right.
sleep. But yeah, it makes it like, if I was to nap, it's very dangerous if I had to.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, from that you have also, like I think spoke a little bit beforehand, but the computer game industry. You've had music on sync with adverts for various computer games. I remember last time, I think it was like Call of Duty, and things like that. Your music is used in like the trailers and the gaming events and all that kind of stuff. But you've actually penned pretty much a whole soundtrack to a game, in the shape of The Crew Motorfest.
Yes.
Is the game. I think you did the majority of the tracks on there. I haven't got the number, but it's like something like 20 something odd tracks out of all of them.
Mhm.
But how did that come about? Because that's obviously, I know through like things like sync, you put the music forward, or they get it from a database or whatever, and whatever fits, and it goes on adverts, it goes on video games, whatever on that front. But actually getting to write to a video game,
Yeah.
so movies and stuff, I can see that. But how do you do it for a video game? I mean, how did that come about, first and foremost?
On accident. I
Good.
literally got into this on accident. I know that there's, uh, I wish that I had the story of like, oh, it's always been my dream to be a composer, but I, I'm blown away every day that I get to wake up and do what I do. But this was something where I was presented with the opportunity. Hey, do you want to submit a pitch to score this racing video game. And there was like three different videos that I had to score to, and there was a brief for each one. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do the pitch. I want to try out for this, not because I think I'll get it, but mainly just because I want to see if the software that I use can actually keep up and
Okay.
do it. Uh, I use a sort of unconventional thing to put my music together. I use a tracker
Yes.
instead of like, Pro Tools and,
Yep.
Cubase and stuff like that. I used to use stuff like that, but way back in the lovely 90s, I was using trackers.
Yes.
And so this is sort of like I've done like sort of a return to form years ago, and only doing everything within a tracker. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if I even can do something like this in this program. So got another third party program to like sync up video and stuff like that. And like, well, I don't know what they're looking for, but here's what I came up with. I just wanted to see if this program would catch on fire or not. I think it handled it pretty well. Here we go. This was a fun experiment. And then a couple months later, they're like, okay, you're hired. Now you're going to jump in this creative meeting, and here we're going to need this and this and this. I'm like, oh no. Oh, oh, I didn't actually think I'd get this job. Oh, how do you do this? So it was very much like out of the frying pan into the fire. I'm like, I guess I just learn as I go. And most of that was like traditional. There were a couple things where it's like, we need a loop for this thing. Most of it was like traditional scoring, not that I had done that before either, where it's like stuff for like scoring to video, where it's like they already had a video thing where like, here's the beats we want you to we want you to hit. Because it was things for like the intro for like, here's showing you the cool car you're going to be racing and stuff like that. The time that I actually started doing the like, more video game style composing was after I finished up the crew Motorfest. Then I got contacted to do some tracks for Mortal Kombat. It was Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns, the DLC, and they wanted me to do some stage music and basically just do what I do, like give us some kick-ass electronic rock. I'm like, well, I know how to do that. So that was one where it was fully like, okay, here's things that are like in this unique video game structure where like things have to be a loop, and like and when it loops, like you can't ever get sick of it. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, how do you do this? So I'm like, because I get sick of what I write 30 seconds afterward. So that was the learning experience as well. And now I'm like, it's people keep calling for jobs. I'm like, I guess I'll I gotta eat.
Yep.
So I'm now doing another video game called Morbid Metal. That's you can probably guess from the sound of that. It's all super light, super chill.
Yeah.
Uh,
To the videos, they look super chill. Um, um, but yeah, no, that looks amazing. I mean, obviously, I forgot about Mortal Kombat. That was one thing I knew it was something I was forgetting, but I remember you did do that because I follow you on social media, so I see things when you pop them up and everything like that. But I totally forgot about Mortal Kombat, and I have that game as well, so I should have known. But yeah,
there's
no,
ones I forget about all. I mean, I forgot. I even forgot to mention this wasn't scoring, but I had done two songs for Cyberpunk 2077.
yes,
And that was before the crew motor. That was just like, hey, so like write some songs specifically for this. And so one I did with another composer, and one I did on my own. And there were some of those demos still float around on my hard drive. And uh, but yeah, it's not something I ever thought that I would be doing. But it's wild. It's wild to wake up and do this. And like anytime I get so now it's the juggle of, okay, working on video game, and also trying to new stuff for, juggle, basically juggle the day job and the
Passion.
and the passion stuff,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
both things are doing the same kind of music. So
Good. That's good. If you can like obviously keep them separate, that's also good. But if you can, if it melds, it melds.
sure.
But yeah, like I got Cyberpunk written down here as well. If there was any artist, I would say any artist that could have a song on that, it would be you. And it's another one of those games that obviously it had its problems to start with. They fixed it, which is great. And it's a very fun game to play. I play it on my Xbox quite often.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and MK1 as well, and MK11. To be fair, I jump between the two. But yeah, no, I mean, that's great. I mean, it's always I've always wondered because I've never had many like video game composers on the show. I recently my last episode to this one would be I think I mentioned it before we started talking, but guys from King of Meat. Which is a game that's coming out of a local area to me here, but they're on Amazon Games, so it's getting a proper it's had a proper release and everything. But getting that sort of side of it, the game development side, things like that, and then getting someone who writes for video games. Like I've had people who have sync like yourself have had that as well, but actually writing for a video game. And I was always curious how that works and how like you've answered some of it already, but like how like the looping makes sense because it's like, okay, if they spend a lot of time in one area, you're just going to hear that going over and over.
Right.
At least with Mortal Kombat, you kind of like they got timed bouts, so you've got a little bit of leeway here. But it's change the timer to infinite, and they just stand there like doing that. Um, but yeah, no, it's interesting. It never really crossed my mind. I mean, I make music not for a living, but I've made music before, and but yeah, that makes sense. Like when it comes to video games on that. But no, you've like I say, you've had like with Motorfest, it was a fun game. MK1. I mean, I love Mortal Kombat throughout the years. Mortal Kombat from the very first
Oh,
one. Playing that in the arcade as a child. Don't think I was allowed to, but I did.
yeah.
Then I owned the game, and then it had like proper ratings on it, and I wasn't allowed to have that, but my parents bought it for me. Therefore, I found out the way I did. Um,
Absolutely.
but Morbid Metal, actually, I was saying about your social media. Like watching you doing your guitar bits, like I think it was the most recent one, like and having the gameplay in the background or the video shots of the games in there because you've done
Mhm.
one for is it specifically are you doing the whole thing, the whole soundtrack to it, or is it because like the track that's out right now is called
Mhm.
oh god, where is it? It's right here.
Oh, Saru.
That's it. Sorry. I should really define my notes more. Um, it's like my brain, it's just everywhere.
I
But
feel
is that like an introduction to that particular character in the game, or is this sort of like how the theme's going? Like you've written or you're writing for each sort of mech in the game?
so for that. So the Saru track that's out right now is sort of like it's like a condensed version of the full suite of music for that boss fight. So like Saru is one of the bosses that you fight in the game. So I'm doing like the level music. I'm basically doing all the stuff that you're hearing so far. There's a demo out. They're about to hit early access is coming soon, and so things are still in development. But that was like a big boss fight, and that was each game that I work on, which there's been three, but but each experience has been like unique unto the game itself. So I have to sort of throw out the old ideas and come up with new stuff for even how to approach it. And the sorrow track is sort of like here's a cut down version of like the full suite for like all of the boss things. So it's like here's this introduction and then this phase and then you knock part of his arm off and then he comes back at you. So it's like here's the cinematic, but now here's the fight music. So I just sort of strung all that together into a track, but we had to that wound up being too long because there's oh my god, there's so much music. I've been making so much music. That wound up being like 6.5 minutes long. We're like, well, this is just going to be like a little single release, so let's cut that down to just to the meat of it to like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So there's even more music waiting for you in the game. There's a lot of guitar destruction and a lot of beat destruction in this thing.
That sounds absolutely amazing. If anyone wants to check it out, it's morbidmetalgame.com. And yeah, is there a release date for it yet? Or is it still, obviously it's still in development.
Still in
Um,
development, yeah.
yeah.
There's a demo out that you can play that's on Steam, and I don't know when specifically the early access is coming, but it is very soon.
I'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure it's on Steam. Yeah, if it was on Steam, then why is that zooming in? Hello. God, I love center stage. Um, uh, but maybe it's just telling me to talk about the Devil album now. Uh, but yeah, obviously people can add it on Steam. It's probably a good way to support games. I found that out through various game people that are around here, like adding it, like pre-orders for albums. That's how, when you pre-add it on whatever platform people think, it helps the artist. This helps games because it lets you
Yeah,
obviously keep up to date, but also if they want to release a beta and they want some testers, you could be front of the line. And beta testing can be fun, everybody. Um, it can be incredibly frustrating, but it can be fun. Um, as a beta tester myself.
oh,
Yeah, well, I've done it a few times for a few games over in the past, but yeah, it can be frustrating. It can also be, it can be fun because the game could be really well put together already, and you're just sort of playing a semi-polished product. But yeah, another shout out to King of Meat because they're good guys. Uh, they had a beta test and everything going on, which I was part of, but it was great. But yes, let's talk about the Devil. Uh,
sure.
the Devil Decade Edition, I should say. Now,
Yes.
it arrived for me today, as I said earlier. You can see the vinyl behind me right there. And if anyone wants to say, actually, you know what? I'm going to get it. It's great. Gatefold vinyl, everybody. You can see wonderful pictures of Bret there, um, with a lovely skull. And we've got this is vinyl number two. It's in red.
Ooh, you got the red.
Red. Of course, I got the red. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's got put that back in there, so the microphone can now hear me. But it's got all the tracks that the Devil had on it. You've added, I think, three extra tracks. Uh,
Yep.
yep. And we've got Lakes of Flame, Ghost of Love, and I've got an entire side of this track, which is the Cosmic Horror Staring Contest, which my camera zoomed in on that as well. Um, we're not going to have a staring contest, don't worry. Uh, but it does
It'd be
remind
great
me
for
of
an audio medium.
huh?
It'd be great for an audio medium.
It would. It would. We see if it works. Ready, go. No. But no, that I mean that track on its own, I had that like playing behind me, and it seems to last forever. Um,
Yes.
and which is great. And I think there's like from my days of being a scratch DJ, they developed what they call a skip-proof scratch tool. So
Hmm.
basically, it will just keep looping on the sample, so it won't move. Won't move.
Oh.
Could have done that with that, and it could just be never ending. Uh, maybe next time. Uh, um, but yeah, the DJ world is fun when they mess around with vinyl, and they've innovated quite a lot. And the skip proof scratch tool developed by DJ Swamp, so big shout out to him. But
Oh, yeah.
an OG at this. But it's yeah, a lot of DJs release battle vinyl now with these endless loops, um,
Huh.
and you can just play it, and it will just constantly loop. There's like breakbeat ones, there's all that kind of stuff. So it just plays the same thing over and over and over. Uh,
That's awesome.
it can be also, can be hypnotic and also be very annoying. But if no one's paying attention, no one cares. But no, the album also it came with. I'm gonna see if my camera will focus in on this, but this is really cool. Now this right here, it'll zoom it. There we go. Look at that.
Ooh.
That is a vinyl topper. So that sits in the middle of your record. See a little hole in there, and it spins with the record, which is beautiful. And I need another one because so I'll be hitting you up with those if you put them on sale separately. Um,
We are.
okay, you are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I will hit you up. But also, I got the t-shirt.
Ooh, hell yes.
So, so yeah, that was the package that you released, along with the vinyl, as well being separate if people just wanted the vinyl. Um, and yeah, it was to celebrate the 10th anniversary of The Devil, the album. It's a fantastic album, which I said at the beginning. I gave it all the superlatives at the beginning there. And if anyone wants to hear kind of a deep dive into the core tracks, the original tracks, they can go back to episode 16 of this podcast. And I think we spent about an hour talking about the album. So there's bound to be a deep dive in there somewhere. But no, I mean, what I'd like to sort of touch on it again, like I think I mentioned this in my pre email to you guys.
Mhm.
But like 10 years of this album, and we've talked about how like your music has sort of people over time kind of send you messages, stuff like that, saying how it's helped and all that kind of stuff. But some of the content in this album has it was true back then, like some of like the topics and things, but it's even more now. to, just to sort of go on to like that sort of side, because we were all going through track by track, and there was a couple of tracks I really like Down in Flames I thought was like fantastic. I still do now, like and it's like the I think it was like the story of like, you know, the competitions and things like that, you know, the sort of reality competitions that were going on at the time, and how like they try and enforce like the empathy on people and things like that. That's a lyric from the song, um enforcing empathy. But you know, just things like that, and the content of this album. And I think I made the comment that like the devil weaves in and out of this album
Mm.
at the time. He's kind of in every song, whether it's kind of someone whispering in your ear or
Mhm.
actually kind of like, you know, I mean, there is a track called The Devil, which is could go that, but like, you know, there's tracks like Demon, which is after that one, but that's kind of like the old blues story. It's a very bluesy track, mind you, but it's that old blues story of the crossroads and like just like the kind of, you know, the myth of selling your soul to be the greatest musician in the world, that kind of story to it. But like, how have you, I mean, obviously I don't know how often you kind of revisit your material, but like when it comes to this album, like with that, with the core sort of like 12 tracks, what, you know, how have you seen that kind of, have you ever like looked at your lyrics and gone, that's happening now, like I was singing about this back then? Not that, you know, you want to make yourself viral from it or anything, but it, you know, how, I mean, is there a frustration with that? Is there a kind of like, is it kind of just like, yeah, well, yeah, I told you so, kind of moments on there? But how does it feel like looking retrospectively to the stuff you were writing back then, and sort of seeing how, you know, the world has played out in that
Mhm.
respect?
So I have a man, it's really hard for me to I'm one of those people who like when I hear the like I remember when you mentioned like, oh yeah, like yeah, we did this on like episode 16, like, you know, I should go back and re-listen to that, but I can't stand hearing my voice. So like just
Same.
just that I'm like, oh, I cannot stand my own company, you know?
Yeah.
So just by that same token, like I like once a song is done, like unless I'm like, you know, trying to make a playlist to like send someone like, oh, here's songs I think you might like or something like that. Outside of that, like I don't listen to my stuff again, you
Okay.
know, unless it's like, oh wait, did I use this guitar line already? Because it's yeah, because I hear all the I'm like, I should have done this, or I should have come up with a better way to do this or that, or like, no, well, this would be different. Yeah, I really don't listen to my own stuff again.
Okay.
And it was only when we were putting together the packaging and stuff for this. I worked with the absolutely brilliant artist Veracity, who's been doing all of my visual. Like he did the visuals for the original Devil album. So we're like, let's get the man himself to like, you know, do this thing and put it together. So it wasn't until I had to like put those lyrics together into like, oh, do I have these written down? Let me go see. to send to him to actually do the layout, where I looked at him again. I'm like, huh, I had a couple clever turns of phrase on here. Okay, okay. It's very, I don't know. It's, I guess there's a, I guess for certain things where it would be commenting on, where it would be commenting on the world. It's like, oh, well, that sucks that that's universal, well, you know.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Same with uh, like every now and again, when someone would mention, when someone would mention, you know, like even just you mentioning catastrophe off of Obsidian, where I'm like, oh yeah, grief is like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's still there. Damn. Like, so
Sorry.
I think I think with I think with all this stuff, it's like, it's writing a thing that is, specific to a time and place back then, and if it's something that's like approaching the world, like I'm not a smart person. I'm the farthest thing from an intelligent person. All I know how to do is make bleep bloops and put distorted guitars to blown out drum machines. That's as far as my expertise goes. Uh, so pretty much any lyric at any given time is me just trying to grapple with anything around me, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean definitely it's I totally see that perspective. Like I've released music in the past and going back and listening to it, like it can be like, unless you're just checking it if you have used that riff. Because if it sounds familiar, you um but no, I mean just sort of like going through that album, like I've had it on like obviously leading up to this a bit more in focus rotation. Obviously had the vinyl one earlier and stuff, which sounds great, everyone. Go order it. Nice little plug there. BlueStarlyMusic.com. Let's do that. But yeah, no, just sort of like listening to it and the content and stuff, and it's just kind of like how like some of these things have amplified and like how like there's some songs that I listen to that I used to listen to as a kid or whatever, or listen I was a much a kid, more teenager. But I went back on a bit of a retrospective with some of these things, and there's like a couple of songs where I'm like, wow, all that content came true. It took like 20 years, but they saw it then, where they, Nostradamus of music. Um, but yeah, no, I'm like I said, like I think the main curiosity of it was like how it goes through kind of like some of the sort of like deadly sins and how the devil like weaves in and out. I think I just said the devil's on this album kind of thing, which is the name of the title. I was young, I was, episode 16. Now I can kind of play with my words a little bit more. Um, and I'm like 10 years older. But yeah, it's like and obviously we'll talk about more about the sort of like the newer the bonus tracks on there that you've added. You got Lakes of Flame, which I believe came out as a single, but not specifically for this album. So what's the was that something that was meant for the devil, or was it something that was kind of, the follow-up to that and originally?
So that was originally made to be that was originally going to be, just something from like another album, which at that time was going to be, it was just going to be one album called Obsidian, uh, and that was going to be an album that was going to be dealing with, because I was in the middle of taking care of my mom, and doing those drives back and forth, and that was like every now and again I would like hum ideas for songs into my phone, and or like if I had the time, if I'm like sitting in a waiting room somewhere, uh like, okay, well, I have time to pull my laptop out and
Yeah.
mess around and put a little idea down. And that was one of the songs that like I sort of like wrote the vocals and wrote the lyrics in the car on the way on one of the drives back out. But yeah, that was going to be for like what later became Obsidian, and then it got released as a single. And we're like, you know what? Like, let's have this live with it's got flame in the title. Why wouldn't it fit?
Exactly.
You know?
Does it fits? But yeah, no, it's interesting because it's like sometimes there are sessions, like with a lot of musicians, there are sessions, there are just songs that are discarded or not discarded. You go through a picking process and just kind of, find the best 10, 12 that you need. But yeah, obviously, Lakes of Flame, I remember that coming out as a single at the time. And yeah, I was just curious whether it lived with that or not. But obviously, it doesn't. It lived with what was to become Obsidian originally. But now not so much. But the other track you got on there is Ghost of Love, which is a cover, a David Lynch cover of Emma.
Oh yes.
And I know your love for David Lynch. I remember that from our previous chat and everything. But yeah, how was that to sort of, was that something that you did especially for this record, or was that something again that was kind of there, but you were like, that would probably live better with this compared to what you're doing now?
That was one that I had done just on its own, kind of done it for fun because like you say, I'm massive fan of David Lynch. Oh, which sorry, I'm gonna divert and I'll come right back on the because I knew I would forget something. I wrote stuff down. I forgot it anyway. On the David Lynch tip, I got to be on an album and have a song right next to one of his. I got to remix the French singer Mylène Farmer. I did a remix of her song XXL, and she put it out on a vinyl. And I looked on the back. I'm like, oh my god, my remix is right next to David Lynch's remix. I can die now, pretty much. So yeah, just a fun little aside to say like, holy crap, I actually did get to do something that was like right next to a David Lynch creation. But being a giant fan of his, yeah, that it was one of those things that I just wanted to. Uh, I love the hell out of that song, and like when they used it in the trailer for Mulholland Drive, I'm like, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. I would love to do my own little version of this that's like a little more trip hoppy, and especially like the production on the stuff in the Devil. Everything is very quantized and is very pristine, and like nudged into perfection. And that was one where I'm like, well, this will be a fun contrast because it's very loose and it's kind of noisy, and that's the I adore when stuff is like that. And when it came time to some pick some songs that could be like bonus content for this, really it was in seeing that there was like, oh yeah, I have a straight up David Lynch cover, and there's this strange loop of a song that's been floating around forever that's kind of been made to sound like a David Lynch score. So we're like, oh, well, a David Lynch cover and Cosmic Horror Staring Contest go pretty well together, so we can't not do it.
Exactly. And that's the other track that everyone can hear. And it is unsettling, not gonna lie. Like having that on behind me, I was running, I kept turning around, and it was like the needle was stuck in the middle for a longest time. I was like, this is going on for a while. And I
Yes.
thought it was a loop. I thought it honestly was like obviously it is a loop to a certain degree, but it was like one of those skip proof things because like a lot of the times you can't hear the jump when it jumps to.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, that is it is quite like just having it on behind me for a little bit, and I've got the speakers, separate speakers to what I use here. Um, but yeah, just like, and I kept turning around, turning like just checking to see if it was near the end to kind of like move the needle. But no, I kept going. But no, I love the Ghost of Love, the cover. Like I really love that. I mean, I love like David Lynch stuff as well, and like Mulholland Drive, fantastic movie,
Oh
just
my God.
absolutely mind bending. But yeah, no, great sort of like choices for bonus content because it does fit with the album that's there, like having this kind of like offbeat and and like the cosmic staring contest, cosmic horror scaring contest, sorry. It instantly reminded me of an old BBC sketch show from back in the day called Big Train. And they'd have these animated moments of staring contests with commentary. And it instantly just brought back the image of that. Now, this Big Train, for anyone that's never seen it, it had things, people like Simon Pegg, and Mark Heap and people like that, classic British comedians. Obviously, Simon Pegg is a huge actor now, and has been for a while. But this was back when he was just doing like sketch shows, spaced stuff like that. If you've ever seen that, but if you ever get a chance, Big Train, it's very funny, and it has a devil in it as well, so you can kind of see it. But it's just a random British sketch show when we used to make these wonderful sketch shows from back in the day. I don't know how the comedy's aged. I haven't watched it in a while, but I do remember the staring contests. And they'd have various different people. But it was like the kind of drawn like some of those old MTV cartoons where the animation is still wavy around the drawing.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Katz, I think it was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of like that, but black and white, so kind of pencily drawing. But yeah, if you ever
Hmm.
get a chance, Big Train is just mad British comedy. But yeah, it's got these staring contests in it, and I just instantly it just popped in my head, and I was like, oh crap, maybe there is one with the devil and something on there, but I can't remember. But no, everyone go buy this album. It is available on your website, bluestahlimusic.com, or just bluestahli.com. It will take you there as well, so you can order it through there. And you've still got the black version, I believe, black vinyl version.
Yes.
The red one is sold out on that on your site, I believe, if I look. Can't.
The red bundles are sold out. There are some copies of the red that are still there.
Okay, cool.
So those, like, if you want it just on its own, or you could put your own bundle together, because we also have the turntable topper and the shirt on their own. There's black vinyl there, and that's the stuff for, yeah, that's the stuff for this action. And I
Exactly, exactly.
can't believe it exists.
I know it's crazy. You think 10 years later. Um, but yeah, like just like having you on like 10 years ago as well. We did have I just wanted to thank you actually, because you kind of turned me on to a couple of books, audio books, or
Hmm.
actually, I bought the physical books as well. But at the time, before they became TV shows, weirdly enough, but Altered Carbon,
Oh, yes.
Richard K. Morgan. You mentioned that in the podcast. I then went out, got the book, got the audiobook, and absolutely loved it. I listened to the whole trilogy. So you got Broken Angels and so
Woken Furies.
that's it, Working Furies. And then Netflix decided to make it two of them at least. I was expecting you on the soundtrack as well. For that one.
That would have
Um,
ruled.
that would have ruled. And Nosferatu as well, the Joe Hill.
Oh, yes.
Again, they turned that into a TV show briefly, um,
Oh.
as they tend to do, and then cancel things. But again,
Mhm.
fantastic book on that front, and I just want to thank you for that. I mean, it's like randomly 10 years ago that has stuck with me because I enjoy books, I enjoy audio books.
Mhm.
And when that's what I do when I go to bed, I have an audio book on, and
Awesome.
just so because I could have the TV on, I could have, but I feel that just listening it stimulates me, but I still fall asleep. So, there's
Yeah.
many like people who narrate books out there. I could go up to them. You read me to bedtime stories. um, but, but yeah, no, those books. If anyone hasn't like seen the proper like especially the uh Altered Carbon, if you love your sort of cyberpunk um like literature. They are fantastic books. I mean, Richard K. Morgan generally across the board. I've read some of his other books as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
That so like Thin Man and can't remember the top of my head because I'm not actually in my house. I've got them in the book room. I'm in my little, I call it a studio, but it's a garage. I'm surrounded by boxes and things in it, apart from this, but I've made look relatively nice. Um,
Well, that,
everywhere else is just chaos. But yeah, no, I just want to say thank you for that because it's like those are fantastic and like they've given me hours of just mind bending pleasure, I guess is the word I wanted to look for. But I was actually going to ask,
Mhm.
Any other recommendations when it comes to that sort of stuff? Any sort of more ones of more recent times? If you're,
Ooh.
I know it's a bit putting you on the spot a little bit, but
Oh yes. So the ones that come to mind, the ones that are top of mind for that, something that I enjoyed probably more than anything else recently. I'm a big fan of the author Jason Pargin, who's done like the John Dies at the End series and the Zoe Ash series of books. He has a standalone novel called "I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom." Fantastic. No one else makes a title like that guy.
oh,
Uh, I I really enjoyed that book. Uh, it's I'm I haven't heard the audiobook version. I've heard it's incredibly entertaining. It's fun. For me, it was fun to read the physical book because there's parts of it that there's parts that take place online. So it's like the text and formatting changes to be like forum posts and stuff like that. Uh, it's a I'm afraid to say too much without giving it away. But it's a thriller about right now that it's wild and absurdist, but ultimately optimistic.
okay, good.
And it's a nice it's I'm waiting for him to turn that into a TV show actually because it's like this would be a killer limited series if this came out. But it's a in a time of craziness. It's a good way to like, okay, well, here's something that takes that craziness and boils it down into here's an absurdist thriller that will ultimately make your day better.
Excellent. Oh, and I'm definitely gonna check that. I've written it down. I'm
Yes.
definitely gonna check straight after this. In fact, I will check that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got two more. Ooh, okay. I got two more for you. So you also want something else that will have that sort of it's called Piranesi by Susanna Clark. It's short, but it's short but mighty. If you are a fan of things like liminal space and
Okay.
things like that, like it takes place in this world that's sort of like everything is this like liminal space, sort of like something that would look like a vaporwave album cover sort of thing. Uh, and it's another one where it's like when you need a little drop of hope, that's a good one because it's a protagonist who's in kind of an impossible situation, but like try is getting through as best he can. Like, man, I wish I had this guy's attitude. Like that one's fantastic. And it's a good like I'm a fan of any like surrealism
Yes.
sort of things, and like I love the whole like vibe of liminal space style stuff, and that was one that popped up, and uh, it's a it's a good like takes you away sort of book. And then if you want another like I feel like I like it's you can't come in any harder than Altered Carbon. So to stay on the cyberpunk theme, the last cyberpunk thing that I read that I really liked was this book called Void Star by Zachary Mason, and that's one where I listened to the audiobook of, and that was the that was the only thing that I've read or listened to that has given me the same vibe as like William Gibson. Because
Okay.
like previously, like I mean, no one touches that guy's prose. Like there's one and only William Gibson, but this gave me the same sort of vibe as like when I was reading Count Zero.
Okay.
I'm like, ooh, this is like scratching that same like OG cyberpunk itch. So when you want straight cyberpunk and like a newer title that kind of like harkens back to the good old stuff, I think that'll do it.
Cool. Well, thank you for those three. I mean, that's more than I can ever ask for on there. But no, that's great because I'm looking for new books to get. being physical or audio. And yeah, no, that's great. That'll get me through past Christmas, I think. Um, great. Thank you for that. Um, I was going to ask actually, cheeky question. The
Yes.
that no, that album just over my shoulder,
Yeah.
the self-titled, turns 15 next year.
Oh my God.
Are you gonna do?
Oh.
Are you gonna do a decade and a half edition?
Yes, but it only comes with half a record, so the spin is going to be real odd. Like, huh? It's knocking the turntable off the table.
Comes with a free needle. So get that
Yes,
first bit. It's three, two, one on the option number, and it just goes and then back into it again. Um,
exactly.
but yeah, no, I just realized it was total flaw. I just realized it came out in 2011. I was just like, oh, well, maybe. But you can
Oh
see
my
there is
God.
a vinyl version out there, everyone. That is the I believe actually that is the blue. Should know. I just want to make sure. It is the yeah blue and white version
Ooh, yes, yes, yes.
on there. Um, but yeah, those are out there. I guess Discogs will be your friend for that one if anyone's looking for that. Um, but no, I picked that up a little while ago actually, and got that sent over from the States because that's where I'm living now. I'm back over from the UK because back in the UK, I should say, because I think the
Hmm.
first time we chatted, I was actually living in Florida. So um,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, yeah, we moved back in 2017, I think it was. I've been back here ever since. So that's why time
Awesome.
zones are a thing now. Um,
Yes.
crazy enough because it's morning for you there, and it's evening for me here. So,
Oh,
uh,
right.
but yes, I've got a couple of questions left for you. Uh,
Sure.
I'll let you get on with the rest of your day at that point. But I've got these closers that I finished with now, and at the time when I interviewed, I didn't have these closers. We just had this conversation about stuff, and then it ended.
Right.
Now I've got these like ones that I like to kind of ask artists and things like that. Um,
Mhm.
so what I want to find out from you, Brett, is
Yes.
the three most pivotal records in your life. Now, I'm not talking top three of all time. I'm talking about like those moments you heard this track, you heard an album, and it changed you in some way. It made you want to be a musician. It switched that thing on in your brain, like I want to do that. Or it, throughout your life, something just you just heard it and it just changed something for you, it just sort of altered something completely. So I'm looking for three most pivotal records. They can be individual tracks, like I said, or they can be albums, whichever way.
Okay.
But if
Okay.
you have any, that would be great.
Yes. Absolutely. So I would say that there are two that are soundtracks that are probably why Blue Stahli exists as a multi-genre outfit. So, there's there's some people that only that only really know the electronic rock stuff. But it's I kind of jump around from like there's songs that are I do songs that are purely electronic and some stuff like the anti-sleep things, or when I'm doing score stuff that releases later as an album. It can jump around to all sorts of different styles, and where that came from was two albums in particular, and that is the soundtrack to Virtuosity and the soundtrack to Hackers, both from the lovely land of 1995. And like Hackers was the first place that I heard. That's the first place that I heard the Prodigy. That's the first place that I heard stereo MCs. Virtuosity was the first place that I heard Tricky
Yeah.
and Lords of Acid and Juno Reactor and stuff like that. And as I would listen to these albums, the thing that I couldn't shake was like, I love this album so much. But it's a collection of like wildly different artists playing wildly different styles. Why can't this just be one band?
Yeah.
No, why can't we have something that goes from like a rock track to then just like a tricky song. That blew my mind. And I'm like, oh, if I ever get a chance to do this, this is, there's a lot of stuff that I love, and I may not do any one thing well, but I can take a shot at every, at a bunch of different little things, so I can make my own little soundtrack. So that was always kind of the dream for doing my own music, was if I if I am somehow able to do music, then I would love to do something that gives me the feel of like, oh, it's this fun event movie soundtrack from 1995 where you're getting this style and you're getting this style and just smashing everything together, and you're getting everything from Prodigy to industrial and stuff like that. So I have to lump those two as kind of one, but they are two technically. So I guess the other one, man, I would say "Songs of Faith and Devotion" from Depeche Mode. That was the first. That was the first Depeche Mode album that I owned, and I got it as a Christmas gift way back when. I would hear Depeche Mode on the radio and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I like these guys. I like all this stuff, but I never actually owned any of the albums. That's the first one that I had for myself, and I would sit in headphones and listen to that over and over and over again. And what I connected to the most with that, I love Alan Wilder's production. Like I love, like later on, I love the Recoil albums and stuff that he did, and I love all the stuff that he did when he was in Depeche Mode. That album specifically, like especially songs like "In Your Room," blew my mind, and I loved that fusion of the electronic and the organic. And it's not just that the songwriting is incredible, and like the melodies are phenomenal, the lyrics are phenomenal, and it's stuff I can get lost in, but it was the way that they fused. It's almost like I couldn't tell where one thing began and the other ended. It was just this perfect fusion of like, oh, it's got this like dirty, unpredictable, organic like rock band feel, but still very like sequenced and synths flying in and out. And like, I don't know how the hell they put this together, but how do I do this forever as a living?
Nice.
So that was, yeah, that one got stuck on repeat for quite a long time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love Depeche Mode. I was fortunate enough to go see them live. I think was it last year? It was last year. They played in London, obviously, being from England, it's quite good. But they played at the O2, which is a huge venue in London. Big tent on the Thames, I should say. But yeah, them playing like their hits, and it was the Memento Mori tour. But yeah, I love that band. Like I covered that band back when I was in a band, for instance, and just hearing them do that song live, just mind
Um,
pales, absolutely pales. Um, um, but like, yeah, that I can't speak any highly more highly of Depeche Mode. They sort of they did blend that fusion of electronica and pop essentially, and a bit rock as well. Um, but yeah, they've got an absolute, like, oh God, why does it keep doing that? A mad catalog of just really good album, like individual songs, but really good albums as well. Um, and yeah, I love. I mean, Songs of Faith and Devotion, amazing. That's an amazing album to have back then. But yeah, also the Hackers soundtrack. I love the Hackers soundtrack. I love.
it's good
I remember,
stuff.
like, I remember when that movie came out. That was it, 30 years ago now. Which is
That
just
can't be true.
I don't know. I just saw a 4K uh restoration of it for sale in a music store of the movie. So I'm like, it's got to be down there as a classic now. But the soundtrack to it, obviously you mentioned the Prodigy, but you got Chemical Brothers on there, you got Orbital, you've got all these like electronic artists that are still around for one, which is great.
Yeah.
That's all I love. They're still releasing stuff. I've seen them live a few times, and Chemical Brothers the same thing. And obviously the Prodigy. The Prodigy is the Prodigy. Like they are all killing all dancing. When they play live, they're just insane live bands. But yeah, virtuosity as well, like that again, one of those soundtracks, tricky, amazing. I love Tricky as well. Obviously being from the land of these people, I get to
Yes.
hear them quite often, but I do have around me boxes full of vinyl, and a lot of them are Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, Orbital related, Depeche Mode and things like that. So it's just like huge fan when it comes to that. But the movie as well is fun, or the movies
Absolutely.
both fun. Like they are of their time. They are like what we thought the internet and hacking and everything been. They made it cool. To a certain
Yes.
degree. But you look back on it now, and those noisy keyboards, no one likes a noisy keyboard. And the reflection of the screen, no one wants the reflection of the screen. Um, but hack the planet, everyone. Hack the planet. Uh,
Absolutely.
that is something that is a mantra right there that I think needs to happen. I think it almost happened the other day when everything went down, including this server.
Oh, Lord.
Um, whether it was a hack or not, who knows? Well, I don't think we'll ever find out. But maybe Johnny Lee Miller was behind it. Let's hope.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I want to find out as well. Have you got any hobbies away from music? So obviously, I know you sort of balance music here and there. But is there anything else that you do that kind of like you use to either, just something completely separate from it, or like some people have, like they go to the gym, and that's their hobby. I found out recently a lot of people go to the gym at the moment. Um, but have you got any hobbies away from that? Do you collect anything or anything like that?
That's I'm the most boring person in the world. I barely go outside. Like what I wind up doing when I need a reset is I will get into my car and take a drive up the PCH. So I get that view of those because I live in Los Angeles and get on the freeway, wait your turn, and then and then once I get on that like coast drive, that'll be my time to I don't even really listen to music. That'll be when I put on, like an audio book or like a fiction podcast, like I love Knife Point Horror, the podcast. So like that's my chill out is I'll listen to Knife Point Horror and drive and drive along the ocean until I can't, and then that's my way to like, oh, I should actually go outside. I don't interact with anybody. I just go out and 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 do that. Like aside from that, it's just like reading or if there's like a show that catches me. Which, oh, if I had to throw like a like two show recommendations for you that I just absolutely love the hell out of, Pantheon on Netflix is some of the best sci-fi you will ever see. And also, and this will tie in with the literary thing because it's also a series of books, but the show is phenomenal. It's one of the most brilliant things you'll ever see. Slow Horses
Ah, yes, yes.
with Gary Oldman as Jackson Lamb is one of my one of my favorite characters in anything ever. So it's
Yep. No, that is a fantastic show. Pantheon I haven't checked out yet. It's actually on my watch list, but I haven't checked that out yet.
ooh,
But Slow Horses, yeah, I watched that. I have Apple TV for anyone who wants to watch it. It's on Apple TV. Um, and yeah, yeah, Gary Oldman's fantastic in that. Like
good
it's
Lord.
it's great. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, um, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and yeah, I'm basically yeah gonna plug your stuff now. I think it's a good place to do it. But no, but thank you for taking us through the Devil again. So if anyone wants to check out episode 16, they can go back and listen to that one as well. But thank you for that. And if you haven't heard it yet, anyone, go listen to it now. I'll attach it in the notes and stuff like that on whatever platform you're listening on, but go listen to it. It's a fantastic album. Turn the volume all the way up though. It has to go all the way. Um, let it scorch the soul. Excuse me. But if you want to go check it out, you can stream the album or you can grab it from bluestahli.com. We also find merch, music videos, and a lot more, including the Deadchannel Trilogy. Soundtrack, you'll get more details on the soundtrack for the crew as well, for Motorfest. Morbid Metal as well, which we've mentioned. Obviously, Mortal Kombat as well, and Cyberpunk, if you want to check those out. They're probably about somewhere as well. But you can follow Blue Stahli on all the socials. It's all there. It's all under Blue Stahli. Um, and so you can sort of take in the world of what he has created as it goes into the sort of like goes into the darkness, goes into the cinematic, and there's that gloriously kind of like unhinged part of it as well, um, which makes it even better. But Brett, thank you very much for your time, and yeah, be well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I greatly, greatly appreciate it.